here for you. You pay my salary. Without you, I wouldn't be the leader that I am, and I want to learn a lot today as well. So welcome. Thank you.
But I thought all week long, like, what is it that drives some people to want to stand at a microphone and talk to people? What does it drive some people to want to write letters or run a blog instead? Because leaders come in all sizes, shapes, and types, right? These days with social media, you can absolutely be a leader without necessarily having to ask people for money, which women find very difficult to do, right? You can be a leader without asking people for money and without necessarily feeling good about giving speeches or standing on a microphone. So yay us, we can do this. But what made me do this? Well, bear with me. I'll talk kind of fast because I always talk fast, and I'll try to keep it to 15 minutes. But what I did is I looked back from birth and looked at all the events in my life that I think might have had an influence on the person I became. So I hope it's useful to you. It was really useful to me to be that introspective, but I hope that a little kernel of it comes to some of you to say, hey, I did that, and I never saw the connection, and then it would be useful. Okay, so purpose-driven is the two words that I want to say, purpose-driven. I was born wanting to make a difference. On my epitaph, I want to say, she mattered. That's what I wanted to say, she mattered. And if you let that drive you and not be put off by the times that other people in the room want to silence your voice and just go about it a different way, if you're collegial and if you go and talk to people, communication has been really the key. Individual communication, talking to people behind the scenes gets things done. That's what I would say, lessons learned. I'm way out of time. I'm sorry about that. It's been a long...
Let me give you the bottom line up front. I once asked in medical school, I went to a senior professor. He had just gotten an award for Best Teacher of the Year. And I said, thinking I was going to go into private practice, that's what everybody at the University of Vermont thought they were going to do, somewhere in New England. And he said the key to success in clinical practice, and it turns out to be the key to success in everything I've done, are the 3 A's: to be able, to be affable, and to be available. And you heard those 3 things in everything that the 2 women before me just said: to be able, to be affable, and to be available. So what do I do?
But I actually think the easiest thing to do, or the best entry point, would be to attend our Legislative Advocacy Day. By attending our Legislative Advocacy Day, you will be able to get a true feel of what the power that we have and what we're able to do. And I was introduced through the district, and my mentors took me and recommended that I go to Legislative Day. And it was almost like somebody had lifted a shade. There are many times where you can feel so disenfranchised. However, by going to Legislative Day and participating in the rounds with your leaders, governmental leaders, all of a sudden you start to feel empowered because you have the information and you get to share with them your experience. And sometimes when they hear, because they put together things and they have advisors, and those advisors may not be physicians in practice, catering to whatever population that their legislation that they're putting forth may affect. So you have the ability to impress upon them your experience. And as a result of that, for me, it just led to greater involvement. And I just think it's an absolutely fantastic opportunity.
So Dr. Kaplan actually wanted to just say a couple of things about the House of Delegates, since he is the president, the chair of that committee right now.
Actually, a little bit more, but I think I'll wait for John to hold fingers up after 2 or 3 minutes. I want to emphasize 2 things. The first thing, I wasn't a Marine, I was in the Air Force, but their motto is Carpe Diem, seize the day. And the point I want to make now is there's a unique opportunity for everyone to get involved and women to get involved in leadership. And
You're going to do that for all 5 rows, and then you're going to add them up at the bottom of the page. So the most that you could have is a 20, the least you could have is a 5. So all rows going across, the one best like you is a 4, least like you a 1. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do it and tally it, and then I'm going to tell you what the scores really mean. Then we're going to break you into little discussion groups to talk about what's great about you and why you might bug some other people. So have at it.
Oftentimes, this category resists change and is afraid to speak outside of the box, outside of the traditional box, because it's too comfortable inside the box.
We believe that we have emotional agility. We are flexible, we are connectors, we connect at the intellectual and the emotional sphere.
So Greens, why you want us on your team is that we are looking at how we are not just looking at let's jump and do something, but how are we going to do it to be most efficient, to be actually addressing the issue at hand. And
coalitions that improve healthcare and electing candidates who share our philosophy toward the future of medicine. And so we do that in 4 different ways.